Hello and welcome to Ryno's Orioles Report. Well, we would have liked to sweep the series up there in Boston, but sadly, the third game, Sunday's game, was very, very wet. And I do think some of those wet conditions did attribute to the Orioles not winning. Mostly, I think, the errors. There were a lot more errors this series by the Orioles than possibly in any other series this year. It happens, especially in wet conditions. Friday night wasn't too wet, but Saturday and Sunday were. There were rain delays. So you can see I am on massinsports.com. Let's get to the first game. Baltimore Orioles 11, Boston Red Sox 2. This from Fenway Park. Rutschman led off. This is Friday's game. 2 for 4, 3 RBIs. Also walked once. Henderson 3 for 6, 1 RBI. Santander 1 for 2, walked 3 times. McKenna, defensive replacement, walked once. Also redeemed himself from the first series of the year in Boston where he dropped the ball. In this case, he made a leaping catch backwards to rob at least extra base hits. The right field wall is very short out there where the bullpens are. Would it have been a home run? Tough to say, but for sure it would have been extra bases. O'Hearn, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Hicks, pinch hit late, 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs. Mountcastle, 0 for 6. Somewhat disappointing seeing as how there were so many other hits. Mullins, 1 for 4, 2 RBIs, also walked. Hayes, 1 for 4 with an RBI, also walked. Frazier, 0 for 2. Westberg, pinch hit late and went in at second base. Did go 0 for 1, but also walked twice. Arias, 2 for 4. Mullins, Henderson doubles, Henderson triple, O'Hearn, Rutschman home runs. Henderson came close to another cycle, coming close again to another cycle. This one being a home run short. Seems to get the harder ones and then has a little trouble getting the somewhat easier ones. Bradish got the start in this one. Again, another fantastic outing by Kyle Bradish. 6 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, no walks. That's very good. Struck out 9. So, yeah. Webb pitched the 7th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. D.L. Hall pitched the 8th inning. No hits, no runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Nice to see D.L. Hall in a very low leverage game, though. Nice to see him stack some zeros. Jorge Lopez pitched the 9th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, struck out 2. Very good performance in this game by the Orioles. All right, now let's get to some of the not so good games. This would be Saturday's game that was delayed by at least an hour. The start time was delayed at least an hour due to rain. Orioles 13, Red Sox 12. I guess they sensed football season was starting in less than a day, so they decided to put up but ball scores. Okay? Orioles also made 2 errors in this one. Uncharacteristic to see guys like Henderson, Mateo, and Arias make errors in a series like this. From players like, let's say, an O'Hearn, has had a few errors at first base. Henderson, no, we're not used to seeing Henderson make errors. Throwing errors maybe because he gets to some balls and uncorks a throw that he probably should have put in his pocket. Sure, but fielding errors, we're not used to seeing guys like Henderson and Arias make them. Mateo, maybe you can say that, but just the way it went. Very wet conditions out there. Rutschman led off at DH this time, 0 for 4. Did walk once. Mountcastle, because this game was started by Chris Sale, 0 for 5. Santander, 2 for 5 with an RBI. Your 1 through 3 hitters got 1 RBI between them in a 13-run game. Wow. Mullins did come in late for defensive purposes. Hayes batting cleanup, 1 for 5. Did score 2 runs, but none driven in. Aaron Hicks, he's very used to playing in Fenway. Very tough games in Fenway. Maybe somewhat late postseason type environment. So 3 for 4, 3 RBIs and a walk. Also scored 3 times. Henderson, not wanting to carry his glove at bat with him, did go 1 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Westberg, 3 for 4 with an RBI, scored twice. Frazier, defensive purposes late. Not sure if that is because Sale was taken out of the game at that point or something may be ailing Westberg. Frazier actually ended up not getting it at bat. It was later in the game and swapping in bullpen pieces and so on and so forth. So Arias actually pinch hit for Frazier. Before Frazier could get an at bat, kind of disappointing, but Arias 1 for 1 with an RBI. James McCann, obviously starting at catcher since Rutschman DH'd, 2 for 5, 3 RBIs, scored twice. Mateo, 1 for 3 with a walk, also scored a run. Hicks, Santander, Hayes, Westberg, doubles. McCann, 2 home runs. Hicks, Henderson, Westberg, also home run. Lots of offense in this one. And as you can see, fielding, Mateo, Henderson, errors. Flaherty gets the start in this game. That's why you see a lot of names here in the pitching side of the box score. Flaherty goes 3 1/3, gives up 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned runs, walks 1, strikes out 3. Tough to say what his problem is. We're talking about how you set up hitters in the broadcast a bit. And most notably because Jack Flaherty threw a pitch, say a curveball or a slider, and it was fairly low and fairly inside. And Justin Turner just kind of leans forward and sticks the bat out there, and there it goes, out of the ballpark. The idea is because Justin Turner stands really close to the plate. He's borderline not in the batter's box. that you do need to pitch him up and in. Does tend to dive out over the plate more often than not. It's a little harder to get those breaking pitches, start maybe a little inside and try to work across the zone. It's hard to get swing and misses on those if Turner is diving out over the plate. So you back him off the plate by throwing fastballs inside. But that wasn't done early enough. Well, to figure something out, we need to get Jack Flaherty right for this playoff run. Not sure at this point if he can be relied on in the playoffs. Guys like Bradish, Kramer, for the most part, Rodriguez, probably don't need more than 3, maybe 4 starters, but that does kind of depend on the pitcher. Cionel Perez pitches 1 inning in relief. Gives up 3 hits. Does give up a run, but not an earned run. No walks, struck out 1. Shintaro Fujinami actually gets credit for the win in this game. What inning would this have been? Let's work backwards. This would have been the 6th. So he comes in the 4th inning. Is that what it looks like? Because this would be the 4th inning with 1 out. So that would be Fujinami comes in the 5th inning with 1 out. Goes the next inning in 2/3. So finishes off the 5th inning and then pitches the 6th inning. Doesn't allow a hit, a run, or an earned run, or a walk. Only strikes out 1, but all the other zeros are, fantastic. He did make a very fantastic play covering the base. Trying to remember how it was. It was hit to the right side, right about in between the first baseman and the second baseman. I think it was O'Hearn at first base and Westberg at second base. So they both go after the ball, or maybe it was Mountcastle. Sorry, it was Mountcastle at first base. So they both go towards the ball, right? So Westberg actually comes up with it. Well, there's nobody coming to first. Well, Fujinami goes over there. Westberg tries to lob one over there like he's leading his wide receiver. A little too far off the bag. And trying to take a wild guess, Shintaro Fujinami is approximately 6 feet 6 inches, I think. And that is about how tall he needed to be. It was very far away from the base. It's like the definition of stretching out to get a ball and keep your foot on the base. I guess it might have, because the arm was reached out, so maybe it was 7.5 feet away from the base in total. Did look like Fujinami may have rolled an ankle coming down, because almost a dead sprint, trying to catch the ball, keep your foot on the base, you're off balance, when you think you're done, and then you fall. It did kind of look like his ankle got a little folded up there at the end, but he continued pitching, so it's probably a non-issue, but adrenaline may have been able to carry him through that. So something to pay attention to. Webb pitches 2/3 of an inning. This will be the 7th inning. Gives up 3 hits, 3 runs. No walks, strikes out 1. So Webb is human after all. Coulomb finishes the 7th inning, getting 1 out and then 1 out in the 8th. Does give up 3 hits, but no runs, no earned runs, no walks, no strikeouts either. Lopez finishes off the 8th inning, gets 2 outs, does give up 2 hits, but no runs, no earned runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Cano in, not a save situation, but being is that he was already warming up and that you used a butt ton of pitchers. Cano seems like the most likely option. Plus, he hadn't pitched in a few days. So he pitches the ninth inning and he gives up 4 hits, 3 runs, and a walk. Thankfully, he only gave up 3. But he given up 4, been tied. Ah, shit. What that was. It is fairly usual. You get to this little more than a save situation, and for whatever reason, these back end of the bullpen guys, it's like that extra hype and extra juice of the moment isn't there. Why? Don't know. All right, let's get on to the really wet monsoony game. Orioles 3, Red Sox 7. Rutschman back in there. Catcher 1 for 4. Henderson 1 for 4. Santander 0 for. O'Hearn 1 for 4. Mullins 1 for 4. Hayes 0 for. Struck out 4 times. Hicks 1 for 3 with an RBI. Frazier 2 for 3, 2 RBIs. Arias 0 for. Did get the Orioles' only walk. Sunday. Rutschman double, Frazier triple. Mullins stole another base. O'Hearn, Arias, Rutschman. Oh, Rutschman with throwing error. Okay. I guess they didn't give Gunnar Henderson an error on that play. They figured it was a difficult play. But again, more errors. Rodriguez did not benefit from that this time around. Were a few plays that Oriole players didn't make, and they don't get an error because it was very difficult plays, which you understand that. Grayson Rodriguez does go 4 1/3 of an inning, gives up 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 earned runs, walks 2, strikes out 6. So, I mean, it was a fairly well-pitched game by Rodriguez. Just wasn't really helped out by his defense too much. Being able to strike guys out, and you see the 6th spot here, does help him a lot. Cole Irvin comes in relief of Rodriguez, because at least at this point, the Orioles are down to a 5-man bullpen. That means Irvin is the odd man out. Frankly, maybe Flaherty should be in the bullpen. But, however, goes 2 2/3 of an inning, gives up 1 hit, 3 runs, no earned runs. Doesn't walk anybody, strikes 3 out. Joey Crable finishes off the game with a very clean inning. Well, maybe not a very clean inning, but a relatively clean inning. Full innings, full 3 outs, no hits, no runs, no earned runs. Did walk 1, didn't strike anybody out. This was a game that was delayed by about 30 to 45 minutes, I think, and then was really raining the whole game. Or maybe sprinkling, I guess. Very not good conditions, but they really looked like they were trying to squeeze this game in, because it did appear, but based on the radar, I guess, that it was going to rain the whole day. So they did end up stopping the game somewhere in the 8th inning, because it did get too bad, and then they finished it sometime later. It's disappointing, but you still won a series. All right, so let's go to this. Headline here really says it all. This is an article by Rock Kubatko, written yesterday after. Well, that's not after the game. Was the game over by 5? I don't think the game was over by 5, but however. It's okay. 2 rain delays. Orioles blew their lead. Final game of the road trip. Oh, John Means is going to start Tuesday. Yay! Glad to have you back. But could you wait until Wednesday so I can go and see him pitch? That'd be nice. So we'll see. I'm not clear on the playoff roster rules since Means was technically with the organization the whole time. He was on the injured list, but he was with the organization. Now, while Jorge Lopez, since he wasn't with the club prior to the 1st of September, isn't available, would John Means be available for postseason play? Don't know. But could potentially really help the rotation out if he can get back close to form. Being that he hasn't pitched in a Major League Baseball game, minor league baseball, yes, but a Major League Baseball game in a long time, not really expecting a whole lot out of him, but I do expect a quality performance. Because one, there's no way they would put him out there if they didn't think he could, right? So, this is good news. Still, to the best of my knowledge, no news on Felix Bautista. It's very disappointing there. But so, good news and bad news, I guess. Take a look at the standings. Orioles did lose a half game. At least I think. It's been very confusing, I guess. How many games are left to play? Was it 20 games left to play? Yeah. Sadly, if the Orioles had won yesterday, assuming the math is correct, and I think it is, the Orioles would have been able to eliminate the Yankees and Red Sox from AL East competition for the leader. At least I think. May not have been true about the Red Sox, though. So we're 17 and a half. What did they play? 143. The Orioles have played 142. Yeah, I think the Yankees would have been eliminated for sure. The Red Sox, actually, I'm not so sure on that one. Just by quick math. Not the Red Sox. The Astros are pulling ahead in the West. Seattle's 2, Rangers are 3. Doesn't look like... Yeah, it looks like it's going to be between the Orioles and the Rays for not only the division here, but also home field advantage. So, taking a look at that moving forward. All right, let's take a look at the schedule. Let's make sure I refresh this. Well, just because it has gone the way it has the past few times, let's refresh it. Yeah, it's the same. Making sure I had the most up-to-date information. Of course, I did hit refresh, so. All right, here we go. Monday, September 11th. The St. Louis Cardinals are in town for a 3-game set. 6:35 start times for all 3. Can't say the same for the 4-game Tampa Bay series, but However, goofy times. Very goofy times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're on a 7-game win streak. Snapped by terrible weather in Boston. Gee, thanks. So, St. Louis Cardinals in for 3. I said that already. All right. It's going to wrap it up for this show. Stay tuned for my next show, be Thursday, and I will talk about the series with the St. Louis Cardinals. That's going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Orioles Report. Be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Angry Ryno, and this is Birdland.